Alberto Aguilar, visual artist.
This is the introduction. This is the first thing that you will listen to.
The past is a very important part of my work. I guess I've always been sort of a sentimental person. When I was in high school, I mean, I guess I was a tough guy, or that's the act I had to put out. But when I was at home and I would look at pictures of my family, it would always move me to tears. Growing up, it was always hard for me to communicate with people. That aspect of myself always pushed me towards making the visual arts. The medium that I most enjoy using these days is my interaction with people. I invite strangers to come into my home and I make them dinner, and I create a whole schedule of domestic events that take place during this 4 to 6 hour span of time. I don't think I realized this the first few times that I did the dinner, but the thing that I want the guests to leave with is a very strong, long-lasting memory.
JoVia Armstrong, teaching artist. I started creating music out of necessity. I discovered rural percussion, and immediately I just knew that's what I wanted to do. At some point, it started to not fit with a lot of the folks that were hiring me. It's kind of hard to incorporate cajon if all the people are hiring you are smooth jazz artists and R&B and rock. And so then I became a songwriter.
The message is to keep pushing. The actual hook is going to depend on the beat that he comes up with, right? Mm-hmm. And keep pushing can turn into keep trying or
don't give up.
Don't give up.
I think with teaching artists, we add the creative side, but we go a little deeper, I believe. I think we are more like mentors in a way. We really get people to open up and express themselves. Every kid is different, just like we are as adults. And so we had to teach them in different ways. And that takes time to develop because you have to get to know the student. You're kind of unlocking these artistic and creative keys that gets them to really think. With the teenagers I'm teaching, I think they are walking away with not just confidence, but the ability to just do it and not wait for permission.
Kareem Bandealy, actor. I feel like I have the unique perspective of being able to identify with the West in a very visceral way, because this is where I've done my growing, but to still have the sort of genetics of the East and those things which are deeply, deeply coded in me.
I wish there was some way of showing you I'm nobody interesting enough to have you waste your time.
And you might not be.
I'm not. How can I show you that?
No, that's the thing. How can you show me that?
I kind of have always seen my future as wide open. Do you know what I mean? That I could be anything at any point. And perhaps that's the artist mentality. So what led me to be an artist? I guess curiosity.
Tibbs! Tibbs is my favorite!
Is Peter? No!
The danger of theater that I love is it's a controlled environment in as much as anything is a controlled environment. We have rules in place, we have a culture in place, but anything can happen at any point because it's now. It's that dangerous that a person can, in the moment, sitting there watching, feel something come up from here, do you know what I mean? And that turns into a laugh, or that turns into a sigh. I tell you that the imagination is just the most extraordinary attribute that we possess, the imagination.
Regina Baiocchi, composer. I wanted to be a composer before I knew what a composer was. I knew that I wanted to express myself through music and words. I made a conscious effort to learn each family of instruments, to study a string instrument, to study a wind instrument, a brass instrument, a keyboard instrument, etc. People, might describe me as coming from an underrepresented group in the sense that I'm African American, or an underrepresented group in the sense that I'm female. I've always been attracted to things that maybe other people might not resonate with. I think it's important for me as a composer to speak about my music in my voice in a way that people can understand it. Composing music is like writing a love letter to family, friends, and for posterity. Doxology was dedicated to my mom, and so I think about her and the type of organ music that she liked. I think she would be happy to read the love letter. And because music is a universal language, I think other listeners can also kind of eavesdrop on that love letter and, not knowing her, not knowing who I am, still understand what I'm saying.
Regin Igloria, teaching artist. I think I help students see things differently, mostly by giving them a whole other kind of opportunity to think about what it is that they're looking at. With a teaching artist, the bottom line, at least for me, it has to do with humility and the idea that everything that you're doing and you're providing and giving to people isn't about yourself. And I think that has a lot to do with kind of understanding what humanity in general is about and wanting to be as human as possible, which has to do with sharing. I started North Branch Projects last year basically as an independently run project space to serve as a bookbinding facility and to promote creativity through the book arts. And it was important for me to go back to Albany Park, where I grew up, because this is a neighborhood where I felt just didn't have a lot of the resources for creativity.
This is your book, all ready to be sewn.
It had come at a time in my life where I was really frustrated with how things were going in the contemporary art world and my relationship to it. And I felt like more than ever, there was this bigger wall, this bigger divide between artists and non-artists. And it was important for me to have this space not just be this white cube. It's meant to be very comfortable for people so that they want to actually walk in. It piques their curiosity and they actually walk in the doors, and the next thing you know, you're engaged in a conversation where you're handing them a book, they're opening it up, they're flipping through the pages, and they're starting to ask more questions.
Lisa Linvey, photographer. My work documents the state of entropy within my family, and I'm really interested in the larger idea of entropy and how it occurs in everyone's life. So my project is very much about my family, but I think that there are feelings that everyone deals with. My mother has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and while in grad school, she was suffering severely from depression and kind of all these other issues that were being suppressed. I think we always knew that there was something wrong, but it really hadn't gone to the full extent yet. I think it is a really interesting kind of relationship between the photographer and the sitter, where you don't want to be, too intimate, but at the same time, you don't want to be too far away from them. And for my photographs of my family, it's really important that this intimacy exists. And I want it to be in the photographs. I want people to know that the person photographing them is someone who cares about them and loves them. When I first started this project, I asked my father, how do you feel about me putting your photograph out there? Because this is something that people are going to see. And it is a story that we, for the most part, people want to keep secret these things. They don't want everyone to see it. And I have my dad standing in a flower pot, with his big belly out. But I was like, what if we put you in the pot and you're like, the birth of Venus, and you've got your big belly and his hair's blowing in the wind. He said to me that it was really important that I share their story because it's something that people are so afraid of. And for him, it was really important that I went out there and I was open about it. I think art should be therapeutic. I think that it should, discuss issues that are hard to talk about, and it should allow people to have a conversation. But I really hope to convey these larger ideas of the fact that things aren't perfect and things do fall apart, and it's about picking them back up and putting them together.
Norman Long, sound artist. To me, a sound artist is someone who takes sound as sort of like a material object. An example was the floor sonic piece that I did at the Lincoln Park Conservatory, which is a 4-channel installation in the Fern Room where people can walk in and out and around this area and experience the sound with it. Before even installing or composing, I did a walk around the area just to listen to the character of the sound. What interests me about the urban landscape and landscape in general is the connection to culture, community, and ecology. Being trained as a landscape architect, it's something that I was trained to be sensitive to and design around that. Memory, space, silence, and the invisible are themes that have gone through my creative practice.
Nicole Mitchell, composer. When I first started improvising, I started playing on the street, and I wanted to kind of make a narrative for each person that walked by and, you know, try to catch who they were and how, you know, their mood and how they walked and their personality. Immediately, I felt that improvising was something really individual. Like for me, it was like something spiritual that had to be really honest and like coming from me, not like this language that I have to learn from someone else and do correctly, but something that just had to be true. And I found that in order to keep improvising and to be happy and to really express what it is I was trying to express, I had to write the environment to improvise in. As a flutist, the flute is not a popular instrument in jazz, so that's something that's part of my mission, is to help to bring more visibility to the instrument. And then being a woman instrumentalist in jazz, using my voice and incorporating that into my instrument kind of leaves evidence that a woman is here.
Amy Soraya, singer-songwriter. I played acoustic guitar because that's what singer-songwriters normally do, but it was always really difficult for me because I was piano-minded and I had to kind of translate in my head from this linear instrument, piano to guitar. And then once I found the accordion, I instantly just fell in love. I picked it up and it was just like a symphony in my hands. I almost feel like somewhat of a vessel, you know, not just creating what I feel at the moment, but what's around me in the environment. And I let it flow freely.
Well, they tortured me with their cattle prod hands.
My work, Cattle Prod Hands, I wrote after reading an article in the paper. It was about a soldier in Abu Ghraib, and he was finally speaking out publicly about what was happening and that he didn't think it was right, and it just really was very powerful and really bothered me. I don't mean to make light in the song from the way it's, you know, it's kind of an upbeat number, but I think it's kind of talking about the circus that exists in that world. Music allows you to express yourself and find beauty in everything, whether you're angry, you're pissed, or you're happy, you're frustrated. It brings beauty to everything in that moment.
Alison, Siple, costume designer. I love taking clothes apart and then putting them back together in other ways. So I'm traveling around and just hunting and gathering until I find the stuff that I want, and then reconfiguring it in ways to make it look the way that I want it to look. I think the thing that I love about being in theater and why I do it is because it's such a collaborative art form. Like, you really are truly only as good as the people that you're collaborating with, the other designers, the directors, the actors. So that aspect of sort of sitting down and everyone having like a big meeting and a big idea, and then everybody in their separate department going away, working their butts off, and then coming back together, seeing that collaboration sort of move through meeting phases into actuality at the theater with the actors, with the lights and the sound and the costumes, like that to me is, it's just so thrilling to be like a part of that. I'm really interested in looking at old plays and sort of re-envisioning it in a new way and kind of pushing what audiences expect certain plays that are iconic or viewed as a little bit precious, and kind of exploding open the way that they look and the way that they're experienced by the audience. Anything that's new and innovative, initially there's usually some resistance, and so you're just trying to make it still a really cool experience for the audience, but sort of push what they think they're coming to see that night, so that they leave going, oh my gosh, I never thought that would be like that.
Regina Baiocchi, composer. I wanted to be a composer before I knew what a composer was. I knew that I wanted to express myself through music and words. I made a conscious effort to learn each family of instruments, to study a string instrument, to study a wind instrument, a brass instrument, keyboard instrument, etc. People, might describe me as coming from an underrepresented group in the sense that I'm African American, or an underrepresented group in the sense that I'm female. I've always been attracted to things that maybe other people might not resonate with. I think it's important for me as a composer to speak about my music in my voice in a way that people can understand it. Composing music is like writing a love letter to family, friends, and for posterity. Doxology was dedicated to my mom, and so I think about her and the type of organ music that she liked. I think she would be happy to read the love letter. And because music is a universal language, I think other listeners can also kind of eavesdrop on that love letter, and not knowing her, not knowing who I am, still understand what I'm saying.
Mirtes de Magalhães Zwierzynski, teaching artist. I think City Chicago offers an incredible opportunity, for example. It's amazing. I don't see too many spaces in the world. There's so much possible things here. I think you have incredible programs with art and the kids, and artists interact with the kids. You know what you do? You try to do like this. You need to go follow the shape. For me, I think you should make a difference to what is in teaching art, normally in the schools, or artist work.
What we're doing right now is basically making a fade in the background. We're fixing from our previous mural.
From this, they sketched it out, they made templates of it, and then they put it on the projector. So now what we're doing, we're adding the tiles to these drawings to finally put on the wall.
Permanent art gives an enormous impact for all the participants, because it's forever. When they see in the wall, oh my God, it's an incredible impact. They make them open their mind. And it was very emotional sometimes. I saw parents cry, when they see the artwork the kids done in their school.